Welcome back to the gym, brothers. Tonight is going to be fun. I cannot wait to meet this guy, Gatti, who's just on the screen. Obviously, you saw he's incredibly talented, and the Cirque du Soleil act that he was in is incredibly dynamic and unique, and it brings high bar to a new level. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that there is life after gymnastics and there's life in gymnastics, and this guy is a pretty inspiring guy. So I'm looking forward till 5:30 when he's on with us. Before then, I would like to start with our regular warm-up all the way through Future Star Flexibility. And we're going to start with Mr. Serial. My man Liam, you can finish your cereal, my dude. How's your day going? Yeah, it's good. All right. Do you have more cereal to go or no? All right. I'll get you off mic in a little while, but I got to start with you. All right, guys, let's get it going.
Next finger. And last finger. Thumb up, pull down, stretch. Switch hands.
Love that.
Pinky up, stretch. switch hands. Right arm circle forward.
So guys, one of the things that Chris is going to talk about is using your shoulder blades the right way. It's a term called protraction of your shoulder blades, okay? And I just want you to pay attention to what he talks about very carefully there, because it's something I never really actually knew before or thought about.
Double arm circle forward. And backward. Start low, go high.
Is baseball starting soon? Yeah, sweet. Keep those thumbs back, okay? Using those shoulder blades, using those shoulder blades. These are the muscles that Chris is going to talk about as well. All right, your shoulder blades, what your muscles in the back are doing at the top of your handstand is very important.
Up on your tippy toes.
Make sure you do your knees and your toes. I'm just going to give it to Torin, and just so that you guys are reminded of what to do, and I'll come back to Liam on mic. All right, so you're going to go up onto your toes, knees bent, toes pointed, arms to the side, knees bent, and onto your heels. Onto your tippy toes, knees bent, arms up, all the way up, on your knees, arms to the side on your heels. All right, knees bent on toe, knees bent on heel. Knees bent on toe, knees bent on heel. One more, knees bent on toe, knees bent on heel. All right, Liam, finish it up till we run.
Feet face in. Feet face out. Feet face in. And feet face out. Side kicks.
Flat stretch and a hollow. Open up. Other side in a hollow. Open up. Elbows. Other way.
Keep the mic, I'm gonna spotlight.
Hips. Other way. Knees. Other way. Spider-Man left. And right. Left. And right. Bend your knees, straighten them. Wrists. Fingers face forward. Fingers face out. Fingers face in. Fingers face towards you. Flip over, push gentle.
Hey guys, you keep doing your wrists. I just want to make sure that you know who's on the call right now. Okay, Chris Gatti is here. All right, he's obviously the guy we saw in the video, and he's going to be really instrumental in moving us forward with our handstand shapes and handstand development. I'm really happy to have him. Also, we have one of the best coaches in the whole country right here, and one of my very best friends, Cal Booker. He's on right now. All right, just watching you guys, okay, trying to take some information in. If he wants to come on mic, he can do so. We'll just wait till later on, but nice to see you, man. All right, we're just gonna keep following Jackson until we're done with stretch.
No point stretch. Dave Tilly stretch.
Shane, I'm coming to you. Make sure your camera's good. I'm gonna do your pike stretches with you.
Other leg.
Okay, guys, trying to keep your back and shoulders a little bit kind of hollow, and that shape in your back with your hips. I don't want your back to be arched at the back. I want it to be the opposite, just like we do on those the floor, the handstand drills that we're going to do later on. And then you're just going to slide your hips forward. All right, Abdurrahim, I appreciate what you're doing, man. This is pretty awesome. Actually, I kind of wish I was there doing this. There, that would be nice. Okay, here we go. Shane, you're up.
Open your legs a little bit. Left hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot.
Point your own toes down, okay? Got to be responsible for your own form because nobody's there to help you with it right now. So just make sure that you're pointing your foot with your hand and pointing your other foot with your brain.
A little bit wider. Left hand, left foot.
Think about that other toe, Shane.
Right hand, right foot.
No spilling water. Liam, point that toe, buddy.
A little bit wider. Left hand, left foot.
Those knees tight into the ground. Squeeze your quads.
Right hand, right foot. Degrees. Left hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot.
That's it, Shane. Good job, man.
Elbows in the middle.
Nice and tall, straight with your back. Keep those knees tight. Pushing those knees into the ground. Straightening your back. Looking good. Don't spill water off your toes.
As wide as you can go. Left hand, left foot. Elbows in the middle.
Shoulders, bridges.
Shoulders.
So look at the ceiling if you can here, guys. And shoulders over your hands. It's really all I care about. Shoulders over your hands.
Shoulders.
Looking at your ceiling, opening up your chest. That's just mainly because the Future Star flexibility routine says to do so. I really care, Chris, that they feel individually warmed up and comfortable and ready to do gymnastics. So I try to give them suggestions as to what to do and trust that they know their bodies way better than I do. And I try to give them a little bit of control and leadership and trust that they do a good job. And mostly it's confounded by the fact that if they're on this show right now on a Saturday afternoon, these are the guys who want to be good anyway. So I kind of let them do their thing.
But yeah, I mean, it's good for them to become autonomous and just to really start to understand what their body needs, what feels like it's not working, and target that specifically. And yeah, being here on a Saturday night, that's a telltale sign that they want to be here.
All right. So, all right, let's start with Boone. Let's do the first Future Star flexibility routine. Let's go through a bunch of them. Let's see if Chris or Daryl or Lou, if they want to come on online and make any comments or something like that. Abdurrahim, I'm definitely coming to you so you can do it in the water. That's for sure. All right, Booney, you're up. Let's go. I'll talk it through so that Chris knows what's going on. Kick while arms are lifting forward. Go to a prone fall, point your foot at the ceiling, go to a push-up shape, right leg forward, hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Turn, face the middle, split, arms horizontal, hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Hands in the middle, feet 90 degrees. Arms parallel, pancake, hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. On your belly, point your toes, feet all the way up, push to a push-up shape, left leg split, hold, arms horizontal, 1,000. 2,000, 3,000. Slide your right leg forward. Keep your knees and toes straight. Push up to a bridge. Hold 1,000. Shoulders over your hands. 2,000. Look at your hands. 3,000. Slide all the way down. Arms come up and around a little circle. All the way back down. Looking at the ceiling. Looking at the ceiling. This is 3 times. Keep working on that. 2, 3. Slide all the way. Keep your hands on the ground. Open up your back. Look at your feet. Reach past your feet. Reach past your feet. Open up your back. Keep your back straight. Keep your back straight. That's better. Sit up nice and tall. Horizontal arms. 1,000. 2,000. 3,000. Dirty. Okay, let's go to Aiden. A little bit. Maybe Cal's on watching. All right, Aiden, you're up. I'll talk you through it. All right. Kick with your arms forward. Push up shape. Point your foot at the ceiling. Right leg split. Hold 1,000. 2 arms back. Squeeze your shoulder blades. 2,000. 3,000. Middle split. At least one arm up. Hold 1,000. 2,000. 3,000. Sit on your bum, hands on the ground, feet 90 degrees, arms parallel, pancake. Hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Slide on your belly all the way up to your push-up shape. Immediate left leg split. Hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Slide your right leg forward. Keep your knees and toes tight. Push up to a bridge. Hold. Knees tight. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Slide all the way down. Arms come up and around in a little circle all the way back. Now this is pretty good. It's pretty good. Arms are pretty parallel there. I like that. Okay, 3,000, slide your hands on the ground, open up your back shape, hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, nice and tall, arms horizontal. Pretty good, my man. Nice to see. All right, Abdurrahim, get in that water over there. It's gonna be fun. Never had anybody do this on a beach. Okay, and you know what? I want to hear what it sounds like. Abdurrahim, take yourself on the mic and talk us through it. Let's hear the ocean waves, and maybe we'll hear a bird or two.
Middle split. Roll. 1, 2, 3. Straddle for the shin. Line crease. Move on and pancake. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Slide on your belly. Push up for the chin. Left leg split. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Slide your right leg forward. Push up to the bridge. hold. 1, 2, 3.
Swedish food. Strength to right leg split. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. To middle split. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. 90-degree. Down. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So third. To left leg. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Into bridge. 1,000,
Well, that-
2,000,
That's
3,000.
back. It's good, dude.
The shoulder split. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Right fold. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Presentation. 1, 2, 3.
Nice work, Jack. All right, nice work, everybody. It's 5:29. All right, I'm gonna take literally a 30-second break. You guys can go get a quick drink, get some popcorn, and we'll come back with Chris Gatti. All right, guys, we're gonna get going. We're gonna interview Chris Gatti. I really just heard of him on the internet. I saw a lot of his Facebook posts, and I think I became Facebook friends with him about maybe a year or two ago. And I saw a lot of interesting hand balancing stuff. I really didn't know him very much, but got a call probably about a month and a half or 2 months ago from Daryl Denome. He's a coach that's on the call now as well. And he thought it would be a great idea to have somebody who is involved in hand balancing come and talk about how to actually hold a handstand. My experience with a handstand is I go upside down and I fight with my wrists and I hold a handstand, and I never really actually thought about what my body does and what my shoulders do. Maybe it was just something that came innate to me, but I think that Chris is going to bring a little bit more insight. It's his profession, it's his love, it's the thing that he finds happiness. I really think that you should go take a look at his YouTube channel and Instagram if you want. It's very informative. It's not just, skills, it's information, and it's breaking things down and making things scientifically based and evidence-based information on how to hold handstands and shoulder structures and all sorts of other useful information. So I'm very happy to have Chris with us. Just give yourself a quick introduction.
Yeah, I'm originally a Region 6 guy. I know Cal from years ago. Hey, Cal.
Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah, nice to see you, Cal. I trained under Bob Donahue since I was about 4 years old. I followed him since I was that age. Went to Sterling Academy Gymnastics around age 11, 12 or so, back in 93. Stayed there until I graduated high school in 2000 and went to the University of Michigan. Competed with them for 5 years. I redshirted 1 year. After that, I kind of embarked on graduate school and more academic life, going to biomedical engineering and research and stuff like that. But still loving the gym, still loving to train skills, but I just didn't want to compete. I just loved to be in the gym and train. Went on and got my PhD. Again, still training and stuff like that. And then after my PhD, I joined Cirque du Soleil, and I was touring with them down in South and Central America for about 18 months. I later became head coach with them for about a year on a show. I've consulted with them on a couple of things in the past couple of years, and I'm kind of doing my own thing, doing handstand teaching wherever I go. Other consultancy stuff, some data analysis, editing, stuff like that, some research on the side. So hand balancing kind of started probably about 8 years ago in grad school, where it was just like at a small spot in the gym, and I could just stay on my hands for a long time and play. And so that's where my hand balancing knowledge comes from, just kind of self-exploration, just kind of like seeing something, trying to figure it out, and figuring out that there's a lot more detail, a lot more depth than just, okay, you're upside down and you fight with your wrist. There's so much. I could talk for days and days, but hopefully I'll give you just a glimpse of where someone that might be a little bit more proficient at handstands, where their mind goes when we think about these drills.
So one thing right off the bat that you mentioned, and we talked about it this past week, is your wrists and your hands. We could probably talk for weeks on just this topic alone, but it's something that I spend very little time talking about with my athletes. Sometimes, you know, you tell people to do it like this. I do handstands on my knuckles, something like this, or like on your this or that, or you push down and you, can you give us the guys just a little bit of insight, because we have so much more to talk about. To give a little bit of insight on what the role of the hand and the activity and the dynamicism of the hand in a handstand should be.
Basically break control in the handstand into two categories, one being gross control and one being fine control. Gross control is where you see someone's body just flailing all over the place and they're using their legs and manipulating their body mass to stay on balance. It's very anxious, it's like not calm, it's not really controlled. Calm control is the other end of the spectrum, where their body's just rock solid and there might be a little bit of sway back and forth, but they're just controlling everything with their hands and their fingers. And so if you think about standing on your feet, I'll just move this here so you can see my feet. When we stand, we actually just sway just a little bit. And so as I sway forward, I'm pushing through the front of my foot and my toes, and then it puts me back on balance. And then I sway and I push back and it puts me back on balance. If I push too much, then I fall back, right? And so we can basically use our hands the same exact way, where we just keep a little bit of a lean over balance. We got a little bit of weight on the front of our hand, a little bit of weight on the fingertips, and then we push down into the floor and then it pushes us back on balance. How we use the fingers though, again, I'm gonna go down here, is critical, because like I was using my toes, I'm pushing down into the floor. So my fingers are going directly down. They're not going back like that. As soon as I pull back like that, that's not actually contributing to generating a torque at the wrist to move my arm back. So I have to be pushing down with the hands, and that allows me to push me back on balance. So this is not something that is very intuitively learned, and a lot of people interpret how to use the hands and the fingers a lot of different ways. So explicitly practicing this, explicitly letting them know this is an effective way to use the hands is critical. So you can practice it just by doing like a plank position, using your fingers in the proper way, pulsing in that manner, just to develop some strength, just to develop that way of using the fingers. So we'll do that as we go to some of the drills.
So I think that we'll probably end up talking about a number of other terms tonight. And one of the terms that I think we're going to talk about a lot is this shoulder protraction. All right. Before we move on and we talk more about it, can you try to explain the very best that you can what's actually happening in the shoulders during shoulder protraction and retraction, because they're kind of opposites of each other?
Yep. And then I'll also bring in elevation because they're very related as well. But protraction is basically taking your scapula, and so your shoulder blades basically, and letting them widen and kind of wrap around your ribcage a little bit. And so it's, as if my arms are up, it's not doing that, bring them in, it's bring them around. So just to do that in that action, using a lot of sort of serratus, which is a muscle that wraps right around here, that wraps a scapula around the rib cage. So that helps to basically lock the scapula on the rib cage, because your scapula isn't attached to your body by any joint necessarily. It's just muscular attachment. But you need muscular engagement in order to get stability between your scapula and your body. If you don't have that muscular stability, then your body can freely float on your scapula, and then there's no true connection there. Along with this protraction, this sort of wrapping of the scapula around, we also want to elevate, because that also locks it in one direction as well. And it makes, in those two actions basically make for a nice solid foundation. The shoulders are your foundation of your handstand. As soon as that breaks down in any way, that's going to severely affect what else is happening in your body. That's going to affect the effectiveness of using your hands to calm and control your handstand.
Can you show them just for one more, like a visual cue, just what the protraction and elevation looks like when you're facing away from the camera? So guys, this is one more view of what the goal of the top of your handstand is, okay? So you're not just gonna have your hands above your head, you're gonna do this.
This is just kind of neutral. And then there's elevation. There's a little bit of rounded and protracted.
Okay, so his shoulder blades are out to the side of his body and his arms are up, okay? So we're gonna try on this shape a lot today.
And if I don't protract, I can be elevated, but my shoulders are like that. And so often, someone kind of has weak shoulders, they're gonna dump into this sort of low and retracted position, which is gonna be unstable. You can tell they just have no control over their body, and they break into this gross control category that I mentioned.
Okay. So I talked to Yusuf, and Yusuf is my level 10 guy, and he's gone to a couple of different camps, and one of the coaches that he's interested in has him do a 3-minute handstand drill, and says that if he was gonna go to that school, a 3-minute handstand, and he came back, he was like, oh my God, a 3-minute handstand, we have to start working it. So on this show, what we do is we do handstand holds, and we try to, you know, just go from 10 seconds to 30 seconds. And it'll be like, the bells will ring when somebody gets to a minute or so. So we're trying to get this 3-minute barrier, but then I look at your demo video and you have a 1-arm handstand with your arm by your side with absolutely no motion whatsoever. And it looks like 3 minutes for you, or however long you hold your handstands. It might not be 3 minutes. Seems to be something like that's not such a big deal. How do you go from holding a 10-second handstand to a consistent 1-minute handstand? And then the next thing is sometimes we'll have the guys on the show, and we'll have a handstand contest on Wednesday. And part of the handstand contest is they have to do a kick handstand hold for 3 seconds and step down. And it's been this thing running, not joke, but this contest that I have with my guys. It's a safe contest and a 3-second handstand on call. And it's hard to do that. But then on the TEDx talk that I saw, or when you're doing all your stuff in front of a stage and you have just like right now, you're in the moment. How do you accomplish something not only holding for 3 minutes at a time, one hand, the next hand with a weight in your hand and this and that, but under incredible pressure to perform successfully?
I mean, just getting solid balance, and so not having a handstand that's like a 10-second like that. Having a 10-second handstand that's boom, and you're using as little sort of energy in the hands and the wrists as possible. So just being very controlled in your body, that's one. Being very controlled and precise with your hand movements, everything, just being focused. And so, I mean, that's the control aspect of it, but also, I mean, you need muscular strength, muscular endurance, and that comes. But understanding the fact that you have to have this structure in your body that it has to remain tight is number one. Number two, effective control. After that, I mean, initially people could probably maintain that. I mean, gymnasts that have some sort of higher motor control than most maintain that on command for maybe 10 seconds, and then that just grows. That has to be habit of balance. It can't just be luck. The handstand, you have to be so sure that, okay, I mean, you're totally confident in your sway and what you can do in your hands and your fingers. And after that, I mean, it's just kind of, it's not going to be one hard push and you got 3 minutes. It's not going to work like that. Fatigue's going to set in, and that's going to hurt a lot. And that's going to affect your stability. And so it's just slowly adding time, but it's consistency and practicing handstand in the proper way, paying attention to details, and just having absolute control over everything that's going to allow for the efficiency of being able to hold 3 minutes in longer handstands.
And the last follow-up was, how do you do that under pressure?
I mean, the basic answer is just a lot of time in your hands. And so, I mean, like I was saying, you just have complete confidence in what you're doing. And you know where your mind has to be. Because in hand balancing, it's interesting because in gymnastics it's obviously challenging, but it's also many times very dynamic. And so your ability to feel minute things within your body is, I would just say less than something that's in a very slow, controlled manner, like hand balancing. And so you just have to know all these little imperfections, where something's going wrong, what you have to do to correct that. You need to know where your mind has to be. It can't be in 15 different places. It has to be on a few things, maybe 3 things, and just like checking in with those and just very focused for that amount of time and not letting external distractions affect that. As soon as your concentration goes from one of those like key cues, then you're coming down, then you're going to forget about your shoulders and balance, and everything's going to break down and you have to step down. But just spending the time there and knowing what to pay attention to, sort of training in mental focus, it's just, you just have complete mastery over your handstand where nothing else can kind of affect you.
One of the things that is interesting to me is that it seems as though a lot of your career happened after you graduated. What other options are available to either high school students or college students who are graduating and still want to participate? And maybe can you discuss your post-gymnastics career and if it was as fulfilling as your competitive years?
Well, after college, I mean, there's more and more sort of performing opportunities, and again, this is kind of before what has just happened, but at some point it's going to open up again. I have a feeling the entertainment industry in general is going to figure out a way to still need acrobats and gymnasts and stuff like that. But basically, I mean, circus and other performing gigs was a way that people could take their gymnastics talents and apply them in a very similar way. Maybe it's like some form of trampoline at like concerts or something like that. Maybe it's like a high bar act at festivals or something like that, but maybe it's more like professional circuses too. So there's more and more opportunities, or there was more and more. I'm sure they're going to come back at some point, but I mean, it's not just competition or that's it. You can use your talents. If you are talented, you want to continue, there's going to be some outlet for you. As for me, I mean, I mentioned I stopped competing at age 23 after competing at Michigan, and that's just because I wasn't interested in competing anymore. I realized that it was not fulfilling. It was like what you did in gymnastics versus what I wanted to do as a gymnast. And so after I was done competing, I was happy with putting competition behind where I could just be in the gym and play, and that's where the fun came back. A lot of I mean, I still had fun training in college and stuff like that, but where I could just explore skills, I could play, I could add style to things, and that's where I think I sort of developed a style that like Cirque liked, and that's where sort of my love for hand balancing come in, where there was no rules, there was no coach. I could just go whichever way I wanted to. I could learn, and that's how I progressed. And I took that kind of attitude when I was performing, where it was just fun. It was not this pressure-filled situation like I had when I was competing, where I was just like I was trying to push too hard. I was too aggressive. That mindset didn't work. Where I realized when I was performing at Cirque, I just had to be in this fun, happy mindset, and like everything clicked, and that was it. And it was interesting that I realized that years and years later after I was competing. But that mindset thing is huge, and I wonder if I didn't have to compete in high school and college, if I just would have been happy. But I mean, there was no sort of structure in place for gymnastics without competition, still while training 16, 20 hours a week or something like that. But I just wonder if that would be an interesting place that I could have gone to.
I want to get going with the workout. The first exercise is just to warm up that shape that you guys were using. You're going to be in this push-up shape here with your knees supported on the ground. And maybe, Chris, you can tell us what you're looking for on this exercise.
Yeah, so mainly I'm looking at the shoulders, what the shoulders are doing. So he's in the tall position here. He's really pushed up to the shoulders. He's getting his chest as hollow as possible. That cue of hollow chest is kind of helping get that shoulder protraction. And I know there's no sort of elevation in the shoulders, and it's a different shoulder position than the handstand, but understanding this protraction and just this reach through the arms, that is a similar sort of action that you want in the handstand. And you kind of get a little bit of weight on the wrist, so you can warm up the wrist a little bit. You can use your fingers in the manner that I described, where you're pushing your fingertips directly into the floor and just to practice that. Your palm stays flat on the floor, fingers stay pretty flat on the floor, but just engage a little bit and disengage, engage, disengage. Also focus on a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt. And so working on that lower back, that the pelvis, turning it under, on keeping your glutes nice and tight.
Okay, guys, so I already started, and Chris, usually what we do is we go for about 2 minutes on each exercise. So when we start the timer, I'm just gonna spotlight the guys. And
Cool.
as I get to each one, you can just give a comment or a suggestion or something.
That's good, nice and tight, nice and tall on the shoulders. As soon as you feel like your spine starts sagging, that's when you gotta push up again. In the handstand, the number one thing that's going to go is the shoulders, like I said. So check in with your shoulders every like 3-5 seconds here. Just make sure they're nice and pushed out as far as you can go.
Okay, this is Liam.
Good.
You know, Liam, maybe get your shoulders over your hands just a little bit, although maybe I'm wrong. Looked like you had an angle board, Chris, when you do your handstands. Maybe it's pressing wrist flexibility there?
Yeah, so my wrists, I mean, they've always been inflexible. I swung pommel horse like that, my hand.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can do handstands on the floor, but I'm not going to last long. So I got a little board that's just kind of slanted a little bit, just to take a little bit of pressure off my wrist. But hopefully, I mean, if that's an issue for any of these guys, I'd investigate that instead of let it linger. But
how long should we be doing, say, these particular exercises for? This one here might be a little bit less force of body weight, so they might be able to endure a little bit longer, but is it a strength thing here right now, or is it just a warming up thing?
I mean, I'd say more of a warming up thing.
Okay.
I mean, I'd say there could be a bit of movement on the wrist too, just rocking the shoulders back and forth and keeping the shoulders strong, but also getting some movement in the wrists and using the fingers in this proper manner at these different wrist angles. So sort of a little bit dynamic in a sense there.
Okay.
But in general, just maintaining this solid shoulder position, just very sort of warm-up based.
All right, the next thing that I think that we're gonna do is on the screen here, and it's again, just to warm up your shoulders. It's not for necessarily any intrinsic strength increases or anything. It's just to stand here and you're just gonna do your, instead of protraction and retraction, you're gonna do these things here, which is elevation and depression. And remember, when you're holding the handstand, you wanna be in this elevation here. All right, the suggestion is elevate, push, and then protract. All right, so we're gonna go for 2 minutes here, and you guys can do it as long as you want. All right, you have 2 minutes to work on it, and I'm just gonna, again, have Chris go around and maybe just help you guys out when he sees.
Make sure you keep the shoulder open, the shoulder angle pretty open. So instead of letting the shoulders kind of hang out in front here, make sure they stay pretty tall and open, and then push tall. And so if you can, as you push tall, try to get a little bit of a hollow chest, bring the chest down instead of just pushing tall and keeping the chest up. And so that hollow chest is going to help get a little bit higher shoulders. It's going to help you a little bit more stable in the handstand.
Okay, this is Conrad from the UK.
Good. Maybe look up at the hands too, because that's going to affect the shoulder mobility that you can get. And so keeping your head position in these simple activities, similar to what you do in a handstand, that will sort of have the most transfer.
Okay, take a look at Aiden. He's also in Vermont.
Maybe like everyone could hold the top a little bit longer. So maybe hold the top for a good 4 or 5 seconds, then come down instead of just pulsing. Really kind of feel that top and feel what that extension can be, and almost try to grow taller in those 4 or 5 seconds and not just hit the position.
I want you to watch Boone's lower back here. What do you think about this? How do we fix that there? It looks like there's a little bit of a lordosis in the very...
Yeah, a little bit of an arch there. I mean, on camera, on a single video, I wouldn't be sure of the diagnosis. I'd say maybe reverting to a slightly different position. So even something where he's kind of bent over. I'll kind of show this one. I know we're going to go to this one, but not in a straight, but just take an elevation in this way and sort of guide the motion a little bit more instead of having him be sort of free on his own. I would say maybe up for that.
I get you. Okay, so I think that the next exercise, let me see if I can pick the right one that he would want us to do. I think that the next exercise would probably be something like I think it's probably okay to go into something just like this and be a little bit more deliberate with just this hold. And the next one, I think we probably go up into like a handstand or hold something or other. So this one right here, guys, is we're starting to transition. And he says that, well, Chris, maybe tell the guys why we would want to start holding our handstands earlier in the handstand workout. Maybe that's a better way to approach it.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're not used to this really tall shoulder position, this elevated shoulders, and your shoulders working in this manner, then they're going to fatigue pretty quickly. So if you're doing a lot of prep work exercise where you're not actually upside down, your shoulders are going to be fatigued by the time you get upside down, and then you're going to have nothing left in the tank to actually push tall when you are upside down. And so I'd say let's do some warm up the wrists, warm up the shoulders, what they should be doing in this general orientation. Maybe we could even go to the plank version of this. That would be okay this time or after. And then we start getting upside down. When you understand, okay, shoulders are working, wrists are working, and then we're fresh. Because as soon as you're tired, things are going to break down in handstand. Like if you look at CrossFitters who are doing heavy barbell sessions and then they do practice their handstands are trash because their midsection is completely gone. Their shoulders are completely gone. So if you're learning something that requires sort of optimal tightness in your body to be in this ideal place, do it when you're fresh.
Okay, so then I think that what we want to do is maybe even transition from this exercise that I have here. 1 second, let me go to the screen. From this exercise here, I think that we could probably progress to either this one here or this one here.
Yeah, either one is fine.
Right, so I think that what we're going to do is we're going to go 2 minutes. Now, guys, when it says 2 minutes, I'm not expecting you to stay in this position for 2 minutes. What I'm expecting you to do is have 2 minutes for you to work on this shape and listen to Chris and learn. So anytime you need rest, I think that's a good idea. Okay? Maybe I think what we should be shooting for is instead of holding it for 2 minutes, maybe what we do is this week we hold for 30 seconds, and next week we hold for 33 seconds, and the next week is 36 seconds, and we can build up to a position that's comfortable for your wrists and stuff like that. So that's my suggestion for these 2 minutes. So I'm going to start the timer, and then I'm going to just go back to Chris, and he can help you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good suggestion. As soon as you guys are doing these exercises and the shoulders are breaking down, you're getting a sag in your lower back, and it's just falling to pieces. In my mind, there's a little benefit there. And so doing them in a very optimal manner and as best as possible, as soon as fatigue sets in and the technique breaks down, then rest. Slowly build up the tolerance from there. A little bit taller on the shoulders there. There you go.
Jackson. I'm going to go to Lou. Lou's got a question from the pool in Arizona.
Cool, man. Hey, Lou.
Chris, Lou.
Hey, Chris, on that last exercise that we did when we were doing the shoulders over the head and doing the extensions,
yeah.
How do you recommend increasing the flexibility in the teres and the lats so that their shoulders can be all the way open? Because your shoulders are totally open when you're doing that, and getting the flexibility through the lat and the teres without compromising joint stability.
Yeah, I mean, most often I just go to dead hangs where people are hanging a bar and they're completely dead and totally relaxed from their shoulders on down. Normally that is just a good like passive stretch, body weight only, but push a little bit forward on the shoulder blades to get them into a little bit more reflection there. Not pushing too low in the back though, because we want to isolate it in the upper back though. But that passive manner in sort of a continual fashion, that's good. To some degree, this also involves whole body flexibility as well. If someone is super tight in their lower back, their glutes, their hamstrings, their posterior chain in general, that's going to affect what their upper back can do too. And so someone that is like tight in that region, they're going to be stuck just like this until everything kind of opens up sometimes. I mean, they're going to be working through as hard as they can, but until everything nicely opens up, they might not hit that full extension. So it's not just a shoulder isolated problem, I would say. It's kind of whole body as well.
Are you hanging in? Are you hanging on rings or bar or
parallel? I'd say on a bar. On a bar, so the hands are fixed like this. You can even go neutral grip or under grip too, but I'd say start with over grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next exercise so we can get going. But then obviously, Lou, I'll take you off mute. You can ask as many questions. Now, I think that we should go to this exercise here. I could be wrong, but I think that what we should do now is we should start, while our shoulders are still fresh, we should get a little bit more weight on our hands. And we should really try to, I think it's going to be harder for you guys to get in that protracted shape and that hunch in your chest for right now, because you guys are young and doing this for the first couple of times in a handstand. So I think that this is adding a good amount of weight. It's replicating a handstand, giving you the opportunity to hunch in that chest and protract and elevate, but it's still like a step towards the handstand. So, Chris, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'd say not focus on the terms protraction and elevation necessarily. Know what they are and stuff, but focus on just getting as tall as you can, shoulders to the tall chest.
Okay.
That's sort of a simpler cue that is probably more familiar, that they just focus on that. They know push, and that generally puts them in a good position there. But yeah, staying tight throughout the midsection, not letting it sag in the lower back. Again, a little engagement in the fingertips. That's all good.
Okay, so guys, let's go for, I'm going to count for about 20, 25 seconds. All right. And then we'll rest, and maybe I can just spotlight you and see if Chris has any comments. All right, we'll start with Aiden from Vermont.
A little bit taller on the shoulders. Push, that's what I want. Very good, maintain that push.
Yeah, all right, so this is going to be...
Start to sag a little bit, keep that push, and stay tight in your midsection.
That's it, I'm going to go to Jack. Get a couple of other guys some help.
Good.
All right, good shape. Let's go to Abdul Rahim, whose dad's helping him on the beach. Conrad, we're going to come to you next.
A little bit more hollow, so really push tall through your upper back and really try to almost get a sort of round. Yeah, that's what I want. Keep that shape. There you go. Still look at a spot between your hands. Good. Just keep that shape. That's it.
All right, Conrad. So, guys, I forgot to tell you 20 seconds, but we only have 53 seconds left in this exercise anyway.
Nice job. That looks good.
How about feet a little higher, Conrad? Oh, no, I guess you're on the ledge, so you can't anyway. That's all right. It's all good. Where it is fine. So 45 degrees or a little bit higher? You think, Chris?
For this particular one?
I guess it doesn't really necessarily matter, right? It's
Yeah, just about 45 or so.
okay.
And then there's another one you have with a slightly different shoulder position, right? Just the total 45 where everything is a little bit more straight, I think.
Yes, not the push and the hunch. Yeah.
Yep. Good.
Looks like a pretty good shape here in his shoulders to me there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got a very sort of mobile spine, so he can really get a lot of rounding there and almost a lot more elevation in the shoulders than most.
Raheem looks like he's getting tired, so he's got a shoulder angle and he's got a hip angle. Yeah.
Yeah, and the hands are turning out a little bit, so I'd say at that point maybe come down and rest if he hasn't, but I'm totally recharged, so you can get that good push and the hands turned in a little bit.
Okay. So Abdul Rahim, rest is good. Okay, rest is good, guys. If you
knees, there you go. Keep that push.
If you feel like you can't hold the shape anymore, come down. I think, Torn, you have a little bit of a pike in your hips. That's
there you go. Good.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next exercise. All right. So, geez, what do we got next? All right. So I think that the next exercise is going to be, I think it's going to be, oh man, I'm stumped. I think it's going to be this one. I think this one.
Sounds good.
Right, because they're still going to need their whole body core. They're not going to be able to do this later on, and I think this hollowness in the shoulders and that reaching into the wall is exactly what you're looking for, right?
Yep, and they should be able to get more shoulder elevation and more push through the arms in that direction here than when we flip it upside down, just because they don't have as much body weight on, and so they should really be focusing on really elongating, really trying to keep this hollow chest with a posterior pelvic tilt. Almost think a little bit about full curvature. Good. Maybe drop the feet back just a little bit.
Conrad.
The shoulder angle just a little bit. There you go.
That's it, Conrad. All right, let's go to Boone next. I think Boone's pretty good, but Boone, you got to straighten your knees out a little bit, but.
Yeah. Excellent. More push to the shoulders. More hollow. Yeah, there you go.
Wow, I
Stay
never
there.
made a
Stay there.
shoulder thing before. Right? I'm going to go to Abdurrahim just real quick because his dad's holding him up on the beach.
Good. And to some degree, like this push through the shoulders, it should almost be a stretch in this position. You should be pushing so much that you start to feel a stretch in the lats, the serratus, maybe the teres. Keep looking at a spot in between your hands, a little bit more hollow, a little bit more hollow.
Aiden.
Really round, there you go.
Yeah, that's better, Aiden. I like that a lot. Guys, 55 seconds. Take a rest whenever you want. Okay, this is Iñaki. He's in Mexico City.
Cool.
Yeah, Iñaki.
City, I performed there.
There you go. Buenas noches. All right, let's see Torrens shapes. It's kind of easy to see this this hunch and push too.
Let's go hands a little bit higher if you can.
Torn. Hands higher. Go another foot higher. And move your feet a little closer, boss. Pretty good right here. If you move your hands up 3 inches, I'll be happy with it. There you go. That's good. There you
That
go.
works.
Push through those shoulders.
Really round the chest. Yeah, keep that position. Good. Maybe move the feet back just a smidge. Good. Tall shoulders, hollow chest. Good.
Aiden, let's get a little bit of feedback. Aiden, can you come to the screen, please, sir? I'm going to put you on mic. Just so we're not talking to your shin. Will you just either pick up your phone or get down there, get down the floor for a second? How does this shoulders feel? Is this
They kind of hurt a little bit right now.
from what we've done all week or from just the stuff that we're doing right now?
From just now.
Okay, so maybe Chris, we can take a little bit of like a pit stop, and I'm sure you don't just do straight stand work for an hour and a half. Are there things that you do in between your sets that give you a little bit of like shoulder flexibility, anything like that? What's
Yeah, I mean, definitely stretching out. I mean, I'll make one other comment too, though. So this tall shoulder push, yeah, it's closer to sort of putting the shoulder in a more vulnerable position, but like sometimes it's just, it hasn't sort of been there before. And so just understanding what a sufficient push is necessary. And when you're in the handstand, I'm not saying that you have to push 100%. If you do that, you're gonna be wasting your energy. And so you're gonna find this like place where you can push 60%, 70%, and that's sufficiently solid, but you're not going to this super end range that might put the shoulder in a vulnerable place. Hopefully, normally in these sort of non-inverted exercises, the shoulders won't get to that place, but if you are older, if you are a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit protective of that, so back off just a little bit if you're feeling a little bit of pain, depending on what the pain is. If it's acute, yeah, back off a little bit. If it's just fatigue and stuff like that, then okay, I'm not so concerned about that. But in general, stretch out whatever you need. So cross the arm just to get toward the rear of the shoulder. Stretch out lats a little bit. Take a TheraBand or something just to stretch out the shoulders and the pecs and everything like that. Anything your body kind of feels like it needs, just shaking them out is one good thing too.
all right? So I mean, I think if I had to make another good choice, I would do this one more time.
Sure.
Right? I mean, I think that's probably something that they need the most. It's full core, the right body shape, not necessarily huge force on their wrists yet. And then maybe not do this anymore. Maybe do one handstand or take your advice from here on in.
One other thing to think about in this one too, or not to think about, is you don't want to force your shoulder blades down to the ground or your armpits down to the ground. Almost like induce a little bit of a shoulder angle so that you keep tension across the front side of your arm. A little bit of triceps, a little bit of lats, just to not sort of hit like in range of motion like that. I don't want you settling in. I want this nice position. So if you feel your bottom out your joint,
Shapes one more time.
try to induce a shoulder angle.
Can you do those shapes one more time? Because I didn't have you on. Hey guys, just take a look, please. Boone, take a look, please. Yeah.
I'll kind of move it on my bed, but we'll get the picture. So here's not what I want you to do. I don't want any range of motion where I'm just kind of settling into my armpit and my armpit's just forcing to the ground. I almost want light shoulder angle where this whole part of my arm is nice and engaged and that's nice and structural and sound. shoulders engaged as opposed to hitting end range of motion in the shoulder. If you hit end range of motion in the shoulder, that will certainly make the shoulder hurt.
Okay, so guys, this shape is pretty good right here, I think.
Yep.
Even push through those shoulders more toward, like your hands towards the, so there you go. Yeah, there you go. This looks good, Chris, yeah?
Yep.
All right, I think Jack, look at your hands, but I think the shape is pretty good as well.
Yep.
Right, guys, we got 1 minute and 32 seconds left in this particular station. Torin, what do you think, Chris?
Shoulders look like they're pushing, everything in the chest can be a little bit more hollow. There you go, exactly. So it's not just a shoulder thing, it's not just a shoulder push, it's thinking about the shoulders and then also hollow chest throughout, a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt.
Okay, we'll go to his brother after Aiden. We'll go to his brother. That's it.
It's like it's sagging in the midsection a little bit. Can you get a little more hollow in the chest? You almost round the whole thing a little bit more, so less straight throughout. Yeah, there you go.
All right, this is Jackson. I'm gonna put Lou on mic if he has any questions. Lou, we good? Okay. All right. Okay, guys, about 40 seconds to go. Conrad, take a rest. I'm gonna want to take a look. Jack, let's see what you're doing. It looks pretty good in the shoulders, and you know, I think that your hips, maybe like it just seems as a roundness. Yeah, that's, I mean, but it's a little bit much, but it's, yeah, I think that's better. I like that shape.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of mobility in like his lower back and in his whole spine, like I was saying. So he could almost, most people can't do this, but there's a few people that can't sort of get too much posterior pelvic tilt. And that kind of makes it into that sort of weird position he had in the beginning. So if he just backs off a little bit, then it's actually straight in a good position.
Okay, let's go to the next exercise. I think that I'm gonna give a suggestion. All right, and now that I think about it, I think it's gonna be a good one, but we're gonna have to change it a little bit, I think. All right, it's gonna be this handstand here. All right, but we're gonna do it with your knees on the yellow block and your knees bent. And you're really gonna focus on that push through the floor and that hollow in your chest thing. And the reason, Chris, can you tell us why you want the knees bent maybe?
So in this position, I mean, so this is where the shoulders are fully overhead. So you get that 180 flexion angle there. But this is where flexibility, like I was saying, posterior chain flexibility can really affect what's happening at the shoulders and in the upper body. And so if someone is a little bit tight there, that's going to restrict what they can do in the shoulders. So they might just be like sitting here, even though in all the previous exercises, they could get this full push. So like taking out the pike out of it and going into this slight tuck position, that takes out the flexibility element and actually allows them to get as much push through the shoulders in a good position as possible.
So guys, if you can't do a great pike stretch and your hamstrings and your glutes are tight, then me telling you to get into a perfectly piked shape right here is not really possible because you just don't have the flexibility to do it. So in order to eliminate the need to have that flexibility, you're just going to do it on your knees, and then your knees can bend, but you can still be in that body above your hands shape. So you're just taking the flexibility out. Now, I think that Chris would prefer that your feet are a little bit higher than lower. So if it's possible, I mean, maybe we can just take a look at the height of the things that they're using and assessment of those things first.
Yeah, that could be a little bit higher there.
So is it better to do it on the wall, just with your knees bent on the wall?
That's a possibility. The thing with that is it might challenge the shoulders more, but it's still a possibility.
So is it okay to do it on that chair? Or another example is with Torin on this mushroom right here. I like Jack's height much better.
Yeah, Jack's height is good.
Right? So guys, I'm gonna just keep it on Torin to finish the job, right? But I think that this is okay. But can you lift your shins off and just keep the tops of your knees on, Torin? Yeah.
Move your hands back towards the mushroom a little bit. I want the whole body kind of vertical. Actually, you could slide the roller on your legs forward more so your upper body is more vertical.
Yeah, just keep it where it is, but instead of putting it right below your knees, just slide your feet so that the roller is right next to your, like the bottom of your shins. Just roll. Yep, there you go. And now, but big.
Move the hands back, move the hands back. There you go. Move the hands back more. There you go. Keep that push. Tall shoulders. Yes, there you go. That's better.
Good.
She's still a little bit low in the legs, but I like that better than the other positions that we had.
There you go, Torin. There you go, Torin. All right, let's see Jack, and then we'll go to Aiden after that. Yeah, Conrad, great shape, I think, as well. Abdul Rahim, we're gonna come to you in a second, okay? Maybe take a rest, Abdul Rahim, okay, so that your body is fresh when we get to you.
Solid.
Yeah, I'm down with the shape with Jack. Yeah, it gets too inlocated.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel he's nice and elevated. So yeah, it could appear that he's kind of a little bit open, but I don't feel like he's settling there.
Okay.
I mean, if you relax in the elevation, what happens to your shoulders? Just yeah, exactly. So push tall. So he's got that nice push. So I mean, there's a slight difference between sort of too much but elevated and just kind of relaxing and collapsing.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Aiden. He's been up there for a little bit, so maybe we get a quick. We've been.
Ken, maybe bend your knees just a little bit, even with your feet there. Push tall on the shoulders. Push tall. Good. Good.
There you go. And 30 seconds at a time. Right, 30 seconds at a time for right now. Seems reasonable.
All right, so I want the fingers pointing forward because this is going to change what the shoulder is doing slightly. Really? And maybe let him bend the knees a little bit if possible so he can, because I see that lower back arch.
Yeah.
So I want that to be a little more hollow.
Okay.
By taking the flexibility out of the equation.
All right, I'll help him when we. Abdul Rahim, fingers forward. Yeah, it's going to be hard because of the mic and stuff. But
yeah, no problem.
I'll help him when we start, when you know, this coming week and stuff. But
cool.
At least I know what to fix. And Yaki, I think this is actually pretty good here.
Yeah, it's not bad. Maybe slide your knees a little bit more towards you. Knees towards the edge of the stool.
I'm gonna have to translate everything that you're.
Okay.
And then I'll help him this week in Spanish, but I think everything looks pretty good. I'm gonna go to Conrad because he's been working hard and we haven't gone to him yet. So take a quick look at Conrad's handstand here, and then we'll move on. Guys, we're gonna go for about another 12 minutes or so.
Good. Yeah, that's not bad.
But
ideally, like knees are about hip height or so. But I mean, this is a working away in the meantime right now.
Now it seems like it works. That hollow through your shoulders actually works better when you do have a little bit of a shoulder angle. Like
slightly, yeah. Just for people to understand that, and then it can open up a little bit more.
Like it looks like he and Jack press a little bit. Now, if I go back to Jack in this shape right here, this looks like a better shape than it was before.
He's a little bit more engaged, yeah, but still, I mean, at some point, yeah, you can pick apart very small differences, but I'd say be comfortable with a range of variability. In that, then you have full mastery over what's happening when you're upside down in your hand. So I'd say both are kind of good working positions. This is probably a little bit more shoulder engagement, a little bit more difficult. I'd say if I was going to hold a 3-minute handstand, I'd prefer the first position just because my upper body would be totally stacked over my arms. If I want something a little bit more perfectly aligned, I might be going for that position.
Okay, guys, I think that we're going to do probably one more exercise here. I think that this is the last one that I would do. Maybe what I would do before this is a good 3-minute rest and then do this one more time after we did a little bit of shoulder flexibility and get a drink and stuff. And then I would probably finish with this one here now. Maybe I would finish with it once or maybe twice in like 2 or 3 weeks. And I think that would be, at least that's my best attempt at utilizing the information that I got over the week from you. So can you grade me? How did I do there?
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I mean, working from sort of the very basic sort of warm up the shoulders and positioning, stuff like that, warm up the wrist a little bit, and then slowly working up. I mean, hopefully, so we done, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like 6 or 7 exercises, including this one, which we will do. And like, I mean, shoulders, they should have enough strength and endurance to get through that with little issue. And at some point, I mean, just do a couple of the beginning ones, just maybe the sort of on all fours and the plank one, just get the shoulders going, wrist going, and then you understand sort of all the intermediate positions. You can start working just handstands, whether it's holding, whether it's a little bit more against the wall, but it's something where you're actually working the balance component because you understand the shoulders, because you understand the tightness throughout the body.
Okay, I mean, I think Iñaki has pretty good shapes.
It's not bad, yeah.
Kid's pretty awesome. I mean, he's doing this in a different language. He just watches the screen and does it. He's been on with me almost every night for the last month and a half.
That's awesome.
You know, it's just some little kids are really just determined. See, I still think a little bit of a little bit of the shoulder. That this is better, but right there when he gets to the end, am I wrong to want to correct that right now?
Yeah, so I want a little bit of a shoulder angle. So when you went sort of max shoulder, yeah, so that's too straight. Think more hollow, feet up higher, feet up higher, feet up higher, feet up higher. Let everything lean in. Still, shoulders are too open. There you go, that's a little bit better.
There you go.
Feet up higher, straighten out that pike.
Oh, Jackson, it was nice. I was just coming to you. I'm gonna go to.
Yeah, not bad at the end, not bad at the end. Excellent, that's a good one. Nice.
Yeah, I like this shape a lot.
Yep. And so it's like nice and curved. It's not like super straight. He's not settling into the shoulders. He's got a good flat lower back. He keeps that shoulder elevation. I like that.
Can you elevate through the shoulders more, Jackson? Push more? Yeah. Well, it's fun to watch that.
I mean, as I said, there's going to be a sort of non-max push that is going to be most effective, because if you're pushing 100% in handstand, shoulders might be tanked for a double pike at the end of P-bars.
So 60% push. Can you look at your hands? Aiden, there you go. I like these shapes in his shoulders.
Yep. Just keep that tall push. Don't let the shoulders fall towards the wall too much. Don't let anything fall towards the wall too much.
There you go. All right, Torin, nice hold. Look at this. All right, perfect. We did it. That looks pretty nice though, huh?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, there's probably a little bit of a shoulder angle, a little bit of a lower back arch, but it's hard to tell from this angle. Wow,
Torin, I think that was the best handstand I've ever seen you do on this show for sure. Right? Okay, so Torin, now that you're at the camera, can you come on, Mike?
Yeah.
What comments? Do you have any comments? What do you think?
I think this handstand work really helped my handstand and made it improve.
What about it? What about your handstand improved, do you think?
The length of the holding, like holding it for longer and opening my shoulders better, because when I did handstands, I used to close my shoulders to hold it longer, but now I can open them to hold it longer.
Okay, so we're going to just keep working on that. Conrad, do you have any comments? Do you want to say anything? What do you think about it? How do your shoulders feel? Are they more tired than they thought they would be? Is it difficult?
I think it's good. It is difficult and my shoulders are hurting, so I'm not used to having to push up and round them that much usually. So it's aching my shoulders a lot, and yeah.
So do you think for right now that was enough for now and we can build on that, or was that too much for right now?
I'd say that's alright, yeah.
That was
It was hard at the start, but I've gotten used to it.
Okay, so it's about reasonable. Anybody else? Obviously, Boone. Boone, do you have any questions for Chris or anything like that? You want to ask Chris a question? You always like being on mic.
I think I'm great. I mean, this is a great handstand class with Chris. I mean, I love these drills too.
Okay. Daryl, do you want to say anything at all? I mean, this is Daryl Denome. He's been on the call. He's the one who reached out to me and thought it would be a different avenue in terms of educating the guys. So I appreciate Daryl's suggestion.
All right. Well, I want to say thanks to Chris. I watched your TED Talk today, and that was fantastic. It was like called a couple people, and it was very informative. One of my athletes, I'll have to send you. He loves handstands too. He's kind of a quiet kid, small kid. Gymnastics is really his thing. So it's it loved it. Yeah, this is simple and powerful stuff. I think if you got to go in depth, if you kind of practice it, I mean, handstand, you get a good handstand, what event doesn't that help with? And then we, our gym, we do handstands around the world. So I have probably 1,000 handstands at the gym that I put on a big there. And it's just a fun way for the kids to show off their sport. And I guess the last thing, I have one of my athletes that's doing handstands on every body of water he comes across, because he's also a diver.
That's awesome.
Daryl, I appreciate your suggestion back in the day. I think it's something that's helped me become a better coach and give me the opportunity to reach out and to have Chris part of the region again. Hopefully we can have him continue to be part of the region more and more. That would be awesome. Lou, do you have anything you want to ask? Any comments?
Chris, thanks so much for coming on. I learned a lot today. It was really inspirational, and I think we need to definitely go back and I used to do these, like a lot of those drills, like twice a week, and I've gotten away from it, and it's good to get grounded in that again and get back to it, because man, what you said, it's everything. So it's everything in gymnastics. That's the first shape you need to learn, and if you don't have that, then you really can't do anything else. So thank you for bringing me back to that, and I learned a lot also.
My pleasure. And I mean, as I mentioned, I just like scratched the surface. There's so many details. I mean, we didn't even really touch on hand use and stuff like that, but like working balance in an appropriate way. And like, I'm getting to the point where it's just like confident. That's like another whole discussion stuff, but I go on and on. I mean, I was telling Dan a few nights ago where like, yeah, it's a fundamental position in gymnastics, but the process of going through and learning the skill and the attention to detail, I think that it almost teaches the body how to learn, and that can be applied to anything else in gymnastics as well. And so as I was saying, this sort of static, quasi-static skill is something you can really focus on and hone in on. But that sort of opens up your mind to awareness that can transfer to more dynamic skills.
Okay, I'm going to give the mic to Abdul Rahim. He's got a question for you as well. Abdul Rahim, take yourself off mute.
What do you do to train for your one-handed handstand?
That's a whole other discussion. I mean, all right, so I'll give you some, very sort of basic information. Initially, I'd say have a 90-second hold on the floor. That's like pretty solid. That's not super challenging. If you don't have that, you're going to be struggling in terms of shoulder strength and endurance and just sort of efficiency of position. Once you get there, then you got to learn how to get to sort of a prep position, which is, I guess I'll just demo.
Nice question, Abdul Rahim. You got it. Nice job, buddy. I was wondering how we were going to do that.
I put my wide angle lens on. It's a little fuzzy, but hopefully you get the picture. As I said, my wrists are a little bit like inflexible, so I use a handstand board, but I also do all my one arm stuff on parallels, which is not normal for circus. So it's actually harder than like anything else that people normally do it on, but I've just spent enough time on there that I can do them. So I mean, I'll describe things and then I'll do it. Basically, you're gonna go from two arms to something where you are sort of on two arms. So this hand is full support, but this hand is that knuckle. Then maybe I go to fingers, and then maybe I go to two fingers, and then one finger. And so every time you connect the finger, you have more weight in this support hand and more control in the support hand. And so you slowly have to progress towards getting full weight and full control. And then at some point, you have the strength in the shoulder, you have the control in the hand, you're quick enough to understand which way you're moving and how to correct. And then one does. So.
That was awesome. Right, Abdurrahim's giving you golden claps right over there.
Awesome.
Golden claps for sure. Right? Chris, thank you so much. All right. I look forward to reaching out to you in the future. We're going to have a virtual Congress. It's going to be the first Region 6 Men's Congress ever.
Okay.
It's going to be something that we're going to put on later on in the season. But obviously want to invite you to be part of that. And we can work together in the future to make gymnastics, you know, successful and cool for the guys who are working so hard. Okay, so guys, I really appreciate your attentiveness, and Chris, and appreciate Cal and Daryl's contributions tonight, and the boys working so hard. Chris, maybe you want to give these guys a take-home message.
I think my favorite days are just when I'm like playing either upside down or in the gym, where, I mean, I know there's pressure to compete and to get skills and stuff like that, but just have fun with it. If you have that, I mean, that's going to be a success.
Keep repping that 6 for 6.